Hello friends, welcome back to the craft room. I am really glad that you're here. I figured we have one more day to get away with making some fun patriotic quilt top. So we're gonna work on this cutie today. There's a lot of turmoil and chaos that I caused for myself on that one. And I really hope that you laugh at it and aren't like, oh, Kate, get it together. So we'll touch on that in just a second. I am excited to talk to you about the Pineberry workshop. We were saying class, but I really like the term workshop better because that implies that we get to work together, which is exactly what I want to be doing in this Zoom meeting, okay? So the Pineberry workshop will be August 16th at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So make sure you double check your time zones to figure out what time that is for you, so that we can all get together at the same time. So again, August 16th, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So we have two options for this class. You can do the class and the pattern, which come together, and that gets you the Zoom link and then the physical copy of Pineberry, and that is $25. Then we have the fabric kit available, which is an additional $90. I think I told you a couple bucks cheaper a little bit earlier, but after we really finally crunched the numbers, I made my husband do it. 90 is a good solid price where everything is well covered. So we're going to do 25 for the class, $90 additional if you would like the fabric. It is optional. So if you want all three of those things, then it is $115 total. Okay, the details. I've written them all down so I don't forget. Fabric orders are available until the 21st. So if you want the quilt kit, you have until the 21st of July to order it. We're going to do a pre-order for that fabric so that I can get the money ahead of time and then just pretty much put it right into the fabric. For my little shop, that definitely is the best way to handle it, and honestly the only way I can swing it. So pre-orders again, which means you'll place your order, but it won't be for a couple of weeks until you get your fabric. So fabric orders close on the 21st of July, so that gives me plenty of time to get the fabric in, cut it, and get it your way. And then class orders, if you would just like to do the class and the pattern, that will be open until August 1st. It's a lot easier for me just to mail you a pattern than it is to cut all the kit. So you have until August 1st if you would like to join the class. We didn't advertise it last time, but I'm definitely going to advertise it this time. We did a lot of prizes in our last class, and I think that that is something that is so fun, and we're going to continue it. So we offered a prize for inviting friends. So if you invite a friend and they sign up for the class, and you're entered into a prize. And then every 45 minutes, we're going to give away another prize in the class. So if you're not attending live, I will still give you the prize. And this will be recorded so that we can put it up on YouTube that did not get to participate as they wanted to see. So right now, Fly the Flag is up as a private video, and only those who are in the class have access to that video, and it'll be the same exact thing for Pineberry. Okay, that's a lot of information, but let's just go to the colorways, okay? So here on the front, we have the greens and pinks colorway. Hope you got a little sneak peek of the red. And there is a sample of the pink and green versions. Originally, I was going to do this as a solid green background, but I really like this florally kind of leafy one instead. So this is what the pink Pineberries are going to look like. Lots of different colors of pinks, and it is so stinking cute. And then next up, we have the red berries with the navy background. Lots of the greens will be similar between the two. So those won't vary too much. The only things that are really going to change are the berry colors and the background. They are so cute. In your kits, you will get every fabric that you need for the quilt top. So that will be flowers, leaves, berries, background, and borders. That was a lot of bees. I didn't even do that on purpose. So you will get everything you need except for, I mean, on here it has binding and backing. I won't send you that because I don't have all that for you. I wish I did. Maybe one day I will, but not today. So there is Pineberry. I am really excited for this workshop, and I hope that we can get more people to attend this one. Just really enjoyed that community. So come join us, come sew with us, or come and sit and hang out, whatever you want to do, because I would love to have you and to get to know you guys a little bit better. Be ready to hear a lot about the Pineberry workshop, because it is that time where I'm going to be brave and I'm going to advertise. And every time I advertise, I'm going to be like inside, because that's not my jam. I really would love to have you. Okay, let's do this pattern. I accidentally printed part of the pattern on my shipping label, so that's why it's yellow. This is a red flag on how this quilt pattern is going. All right, so my thought process was I have a ton of scraps left over from the Fly the Flag class that I was just talking about. So I thought, let's do another red, white, and blue pattern, especially because tomorrow's 4th of July and we can, right? But I thought, let's make it simple, because I knew I wanted to talk about Pineberry. So let's just make it a quick, simple little block and it'll be great. So I'm going through my free patterns, which is, this one's obviously from Riley Blake. And I thought, man, this one would be really cute. We could whip this out really quickly. Okay. And it even says fast and easy. And I thought, that's the pattern for me. And then I got to this pattern and I was like, okay, let's figure out how to make those stars. Can you see that? The stars they used in this pattern were from a panel. So they just fussy cut the stars from that panel, and that's your 10-inch star. And I was like, okay, well then I guess we're gonna make our own star. I can do that, no worries. Let's go to the stripes and let's find measurements for the stripes. Do you see that? The stripes are the cheater fabric, you know, where it looks like it's a bunch of strips sewn together, but it's not. It's just one solid printed fabric. So yes, it is fast and easy if you have the panel and if you have the striped cheater fabric. So after much turmoil, I have figured out the appropriate size for an Ohio star. And we have the 2.5-inch already cut, so that was convenient, but it was just like, oh, for crap's sakes, this should have been fast and easy, but I don't have any of their fabric requirements. So I'm not going to tell you how long it took me and how many breaks I had to take because I was just grumpy about it. But we're going to make that Ohio star. So I liked in the pattern, though, that the star had this little border around it. So my Ohio star ends up being 8 inches. And then we add the 2-inch border to get us to 10.5 inches unfinished. So by the time they're all sewed together, then we'll have the 10-inch requirement. So that was a lot of probably unnecessary aggravation. And I really thought halfway through, as I was figuring this out, I thought just skip it and find another easy pattern. I thought I've already spent too much time on this. I cannot quit now. So you guys better love this pattern because there's a lot of math that went into it and I don't like doing math. Okay, we are going to make the quarter square triangles. That is the point, or those are the points in our Ohio star. So we are going to get 2 squares of white and 2 squares of blue. These are 4.25-inch squares. And then we have the corner here, right? And then our middle, and those are 3-inch squares. So by the time our quarter square triangles are cut down, they'll be 3 inches as well. That gives us our 8-inch square and then our border, okay? So we're gonna do these, we're gonna work through this process. So I have drawn a diagonal on the back of my whites, corner to corner. We're going to put the blue and the white squares blue and white right sides together. I am full of tongue twisters today. And we're going to use this for the 2 at a time half square triangle method. So we're going to sew a 1/4 inch to the right of that line and a 1/4 inch to the left on both of these. Let me get through that and then we'll go from there. And there we have our 2 squares sewn together to make half square triangles 2 at a time. Now we are going to trim right on that diagonal. And then we're going to go iron these half square triangles open. For our trim size to be 3 inches, these are definitely way bigger than we need, but this gives us a lot of flexibility in trimming so that we get good sized and perfectly square 1/4 square triangles, okay? So I'm going to go iron this white up and over. Fingers, pick up the white fabric. There we go. I'm going to iron that white fabric up and over, and we just want all of our fabric to go the same direction. So if I start with white, I'm going to finish with white and do white on all of them, which is important for when we go to make these 1/4 squares because we want those seams to lock. So that'll make more sense in a second. Just pick one side and do the same side up and over for all of your half square triangles. That's all I'm trying to say. See you in a sec. There are those half square triangles with the white ironed up and over, and here is why picking the same side to iron up and over is important. Because now we're going to put 2 half square triangles right sides together, and we're going to line up those seams right through the middle to be straight and butted, which gives us the white with the blue and then our blue on the white, giving us the opposing colors. And we want those to nest because the tighter we can get that seam there in the middle, the better our points will be at the end. I moved it and it lost its place, okay? So once we have those seams in there nice and butted, we are going to draw another diagonal going opposite of our seam. So corner to corner this way. Oh, perfect. Use the blue marker on the blue half square triangle. We're going to repeat for this side too. We need to do both sets. So let me just do that real fast. There we go. That feels good. And then corner to corner. And we're going to do the same thing as we did with the half square triangles. Sewing a 1/4 inch to the right of that diagonal and a 1/4 inch to the left. So let's do that. And there we have our seams on both sides of that line. And again, we get a trim right down that middle. Giving us half 1/4 triangles. Pretty cute, huh? I think that is such a cool way to make these. I don't know, that just is very satisfying for my brain. So if you can see right there in the middle, those blues line up pretty dang good. And that is because we really took the time to nest those seams from the half square triangles together. So it is worth it. Get those seams nice and tight. I'm going to go iron these open. When I do iron these open, I'm going to iron this seam open. How many times can I say open in the next 30 seconds? I just want that fabric to lay flat and not get all chunky there in the middle. So iron. And there we have our 1/4 square triangles, all nice and flat and crispy from the starch. Okay, now we get to trim these. And thank you to Sonia. I'll forever thank you. She shared with us in the class a really easy way to trim these, keeping all of our sides equal. So our end goal for this little block here is 3 inches. So we're going to cut that in half, which is 1.5 inches. We're going to find that 1.5 inch mark on our ruler, and we were going to put that right in the center of all of these points, which is funny because I have this USA made logo right there, and it's literally the S. The S is my 1.5 inches. So we're still going to line up that angle, that 45-degree with the angle in our quarter square triangles. But then we are going to move our center mark of 1.5 inches. So coming in this way and coming in this way to 1.5 inches. And then we are going to trim our extra. And honestly, this is going to give us about 1/4 of an inch to trim. But like I said, that gives us a little bit more flexibility so it doesn't feel so, so like critical to get it right. I think the first time I trimmed these, I had like a little sliver to trim off, and I thought, I want more cushion. So I gave myself some. Okay, so now we're going to flip that ruler and we're going to line up that edge with 3 inches. But the center of our 1.5 inches that we were just talked about should still be in the very middle of that block. And then we're going to keep that angle in our ruler lined up with the angle in our quarter square triangle. And there we have a 3-inch one. So again, thank you, Sonia. You're amazing. I am so grateful that you shared that with all of us and taught us that. So now we just get to trim all of these down to 3 inches, and then we get to put this block together. That's pretty easy, right? Okay, you ready for some magic? Because here it is. There are our squares all nice and trimmed. And so you can see the scraps here. Like I said, we're about 1/4 inch that we took off of all of the sides, which is a lot. But I feel like when I give myself cushion to mess up, I feel better about it, because in the trimming, we can make everything even and square. But the little extra cushion that allows me not to like have so much anxiety to make it perfect goes a long way for me. So there's that tidbit. I accommodate my crazy sewing. Let's put this block together. We just have our blues away from the middle. Then we have our blue 3-inch square for the middle. And our 3-inch whites for the corners. And the assembly for this one is pretty simple. So we're going to put the top 3 squares together, then the middle, then the bottoms, and then we'll have 3 strips that will then sew together. Okay, you can see that, but let's do the bottom because you can see it better. So this is sewn together. I'm going to iron this white up and over this way. And for the middle, when those are sewn together, I'm going to iron the blue up and over that way. So again, that will give us those opposing seams so that when we come to put these rows together, we can lock again. Okay, here we go. Oh, friends, look at that amazing nesting. So satisfying. I just wanted to show you, because it really is incredibly satisfying when they line up well. But that was all because we're magicked. Boop. Ta-da! There we have our Ohio star. And I don't know if you noticed, but there are some seam holes running all around that thing. So guess what, friends? We were farther along, and then I totally messed up the border, and it was just too far gone. So we're going to start over. Trust me, you want me to start over. So we are going to cut a 2-inch border out of this fabric for all of these sides of this block, because we want the 10.5 inches unfinished, so that by the time they're all sewn together, then we're at 10-inch squares. Let's get our big ruler. We're going to cut 2 inches, and we are going to try again. Granted, you don't know I'm trying again, but I'm trying again. So let's get that out of the way. We're going to need 2 8-inch pieces for the left and the right side of our square here. Eight inches. You moved. So rude. 8 inches. And like I said, we're going to put them on the left and the right side of our square, and then we will put on our top and our bottom. Now we shall move on and cut ourselves some top and bottom borders. So this border will actually be bigger than we need, just kind of like with the quarter squares here. I'm just giving myself a little bit extra cushion so that I can cut down to exactly what I need, because I am finding that even with my borders, sometimes they go wonky or they curve in. So we are going to trim to the perfect 10.5 inches by giving ourselves this little extra cushion. This one is such a cutie. I love these two fabrics together. All right, let's get the size that we need now. So we're only going to trim like 1/4 inch off of each side, if that, because this is already going to be pretty close. So I've got just under 11 or 12, it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.5. So just under 11. So I'm going to put my ruler on the 3/4 mark right here and cut off that excess on this side. And now that we've got a nice straight line over there, we're going to rotate and then finish cutting down to 10.5. So now we're going to put our ruler on the half mark and cut off some more. So there's a little bit extra on that side, but I don't think it's too much of a discrepancy that it's going to look uneven. So let's line up this one. 3/4 mark. Maybe we'll do just a smidge. Maybe we'll do 1/8, huh? And we'll cut from there. Fresh side. And 10.5. Yeah, that pretty much didn't make a difference, but that's okay. We tried. But ultimately, we have a perfectly square 10.5 inch block, which I am more grateful for that my borders aren't crazy. Because even when I was ironing, sorry, there's a fuzzy. Even when I was ironing, I saw my border dip a little. So I'm glad that we have a good square. That's sideways, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay, that was the hard part. So let's sew some strips together and we are done with this. This is pretty basic. I probably don't even need to do it for you to get it. We'll get 3 strips there. But this is just sewing red and white together to give us the stripes. So we need 3 red strips and 2 white strips. All of my strips are already cut at 2.5 inches. So if you have a jelly roll, this is good for a jelly roll. That one is not big enough. Like I said, we're working through scraps here, so we're trying to find things that will fit. So this will be 2.5 by 10.5 inches. Okay, and we'll save this second one for later. I like to iron my seams open. Oh, we forgot to cut that one. On these strips, because I think it helps give it a little bit more sturdiness to hold it straight instead of wanting to warp. That could be totally wrong, and maybe it's just in my head, but I'm going to put it out there anyways, and you guys can do what you want with it. Let's see, do that one. And there. Okay, and there is our layout for our stripes. I like Scrappy, so there's really no rhyme or reason. If you like the way that it looks, then it's good. For this one, we're going to sew these 2 strips together, then sew these 2 strips together. Then I'm going to go iron those seams open, then combine the 2 chunks and add our 5th piece. It works for me. However you feel like it can get done, it can get done. So let's get through these stripes and let's call this a day. I'm sure you guys have had enough of my panics and mistakes and like, ah! Here we go. And there you have the stripe square. pretty simple. I mean, truthfully, this is a pretty easy quilt top as long as your brain is put together and not as totally mashed potatoes as mine is right now. I think that's going to be really cute. And they look like flags this way. So even though that one was sideways, I like the way that that looked. So I'm glad we still get that look of the flags anyway. So here's the pattern. I'm not going to link it because it's going to do you no good. So if you want the measurements, you're just going to have to write down what I've said because that pattern is irrelevant at this point. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm sorry if that was hard to watch. I'm sure this is going to be hard to edit. That's okay. We made it through. It's totally cute. I'm going to give myself some grace. There were a couple times where I thought, just start over. And I'm glad that I didn't because I don't want you guys to think that I do everything perfectly every time because I obviously do not. So, little dose of real life, keeping it authentic over here, hot mess and all. We will see you next time, friends. Have a great and safe weekend. Bye.